In the previous lesson, we saw how we can create more artboards in Photoshop. So we created an example here showing what this could be like, prototyping of a website or an app. But in this case, we use the web format, so it's more for a website. But we can create as many artboards as we want, and we can do storyboard with this. We can do variants, options, and do whatever we want. So we are not restrict to work only on one artboard at a time, on one sheet of paper, but we can create as many as we want. Now we're going to see another interesting feature in this lesson. So that is how we can link two Photoshop files together. So you can see here I have kind of a photo montage, and this file right here, it's actually this other one. So now I have these two opened, and I can go in the window arrange, and this is also a really interesting function here when you need to see more things at a time simultaneously. You can go to window arrange, you can open up different windows. So in this case I just need two vertical or horizontal, or you can try also here with tiling, floating, and other settings, but let's go for two up vertical. So you have the original file on the left, and on the right I have the photo montage. So if these two are linked together, so if I just delete this one here, or just turn it off, and then save again the PSD, so Control S to quick save, or just go to File, Save. There you go. The other one also is going to be updated. So we're going to see how we can establish this link in just a few minutes. Just going to close everything and start from the beginning. So I'm going to create a new file, and we're going to talk more about deformation here and alteration of the pixels of the image. I want to show you the puppet transformation tool and other transformation tools. So I'm going to go for one of these smartphones that you can find in the mobile section. And you see also you have similar templates here. So if you want, you can also use this. If you want, just download, and you can use the one from Adobe stock if you like them more. And just let's use a preset here. Let's go for the iPhone 5. It doesn't matter actually. So just choose one. And oh, actually, now it's creating the file from the template, and just gonna create another one from the iPhone. One of these iPhone will be fine. So let's create. And there you go. So now you see this is an artboard. So just like when we work with websites, if we are planning to do an app, we want to do a prototype of an app, we can create more artboards and define all the single parts of the app, like Figma or Adobe XD. You can do that also there. But okay, I'm gonna go for the artboard one, and I'm not gonna show you the grid again or the background. We did this in the previous video, so I'm just gonna quickly add here a banner and a right here and a footer. So you see it's not snapping right now, but I can still create the object and then I click and drag, and eventually it's gonna snap to the smart guides. So if it doesn't snap at the beginning, just create it, and then you can just click and drag, you see, and make it snap. So I'm creating here like the footer and the header of what an app could be, and it's just in generic terms, in generic structure. And then I want to add the image as usual. So let's go to place embed, and I'm gonna go for one photo that I already have here in my photos folder. There it is. So I'm gonna go for this and just place it. So I want this to be the background. So I'm gonna click and drag this down so that it goes behind the rest of the layers. And let's go back to the move tool, and I want to place this a little bit up like this. Now I can use the transformation already to fix the image. Sometimes you can fix the image, you can fix the center, and you can hold the shift key if you want to maintain the proportion. You can hold the control key if you want to go here and move each single of these points like freely. So this is kind of free transformation. And also you can hold the Alt key if you want to like scale, but from the middle, not from the corner. And you can also hold the Alt and the Shift key together, click and drag, and it's gonna scale, maintaining the proportions and from the middle. So you can see now we added some sort of distortion here. I don't really want to do that right now, so I'm just gonna remove that effect. And also, if we go down here where this bar appears, you can access the transformation from here. So if you click here, you're gonna go back to the transformation. Now we already talked about the basic transformations, which are move and then scale and rotate. But if you see here, there is another little button, which is really, really interesting. This is gonna make you switch from the free transform, which is the one that we already used, and the warp modes. So I'm gonna click here and go into the warp mode, which is gonna be really fun. And here you see, instead of having the little boxes, the little squares, we have this little circle. So if I start to click on the circle, I can, well, you need to be sure you are clicking exactly on that circle. So that's actually a handle of this other circle right here. So these are like control points, and you can click on the little handles to have, kind of a more curvy deformation. Looks like a piece of paper that has been like blown up by the wind or something. So it's kind of a really artistic outcome here. Instead of just the plain and simple move and rotate scale, we're getting something more and more distorted. Again, like a piece of paper blowing in the wind. And let's say okay. Now I can go back just by doing Control Z, and let's start again. So again, I can also go from the menu here to the edit and transform. So we have other types of warp. So we have puppet warp, perspective warp. We're gonna see those later. And again, feed transform or transform here. And again, you have this the simple scale, the simple rotation, the skew, which is actually really simple. So if you need to get the edge there, and it's gonna skew like this. Now you can also um, just don't confirm the distortion. You also have perspective, which is I don't really like this one here. I like more to distort everything instead of just being like constrained to this vertical and horizontal movement. But it's another tool. Definitely you can use it to place your images kind of in a perspective fashion, like if you're doing a billboard or a panel. And let me just go back, Control Z, and let's go back in here. So you can also access the warp directly from here. And now we are back in the warp mode. Now another thing you can do with the warp mode is not only click on the circles that are on the edges, but you can also click inside and click and drag, and that's going to deform the image, maintaining the borders, not, well, you need to, stay in this middle square right here. So it's kind of using a grid, and the grid it's limited to some uh, guides. So if you want to change that, we need to go up here when you have the settings. You can see we can continue to split the grid, adding more points like this, for example, or vertical lines or vertical grid or horizontal lines, grid lines. And once you do that, the middle part is going to be more protected, and you won't affect the borders essentially. So it's kind of a protecting the rest of the image. You can also add both, so vertical and horizontal. So if I click here in the middle, you see it's adding a lot of grid lines. So if I start to click now, you see it's only affecting the middle without affecting the borders. So again, it's up to you how you want to distort this image. And you can also like click and rotate, create I don't know, wormhole effect, or kind of really distort the situations here. So it's up to you. You can play around. It's really fun. That's one way you can use this. Let me just again insert another a new image here. Same one. I don't really. Oh, let's go for a similar one actually. So you can see this is nice and straight, and now we're gonna distort it. and we're gonna use again the little button up here. And you can also change the distortion of using some default grids, like this is 555 grid, and just do also a custom grid if you want, and just continue. Or you can go directly here to warp, and this is going to warp by using like preset shapes like the arc. And if you click on the little square, you can click and drag to change the arc, and you can click and drag with the left mouse in when you are above the bend. You can click and drag the left mouse, so it's gonna bend more or less. You can change the height, balance, or the horizontal and the vertical, sorry, balance. And you can just reset the tool by clicking here. And then you have others like other arcs, and then you have like bulge to create something, you know, an effect like this, and then you have shell, and then you have flag. This is kind of a little extreme, so I'm gonna click and drag again on the bend to have a little less flag effect. And then you have the wave or fish. Just go there and try them and just play around with the parameters. Then fisheye, really interesting to have that fisheye effect. And inflate, also interesting. Squeeze, it's kind of the opposite. Twist again, and then we have cylinder. So there's basic shapes you can use for your deformation. So let's say I like this, I'm gonna keep this. And now let's move forward, and I want to show you also the puppet warp. But before doing that, I want to just point out a really important thing. Now, when you are in the transformation here, you're working with the image that is inside your layer. So if I example say scale, rotate, or whatever, or let's say like rotate 180, this is going to affect only the image that is going to be in that layer. So also if I do rotation and 90 clockwise, you see it's only affecting the image. The rest of the canvas stays the same, or in this case, this particular artboard stays the same. It is not affected by the transformation. Now, if you want to instead work with the image in terms of the Canva or in terms of your composition, you need to go here, image. So that's another important menu where you can manage the image properties. And if you go here to image rotation, for example, we do 90 degrees clockwise. There you go. So I'm going to rotate the whole arbor. So it's really, really different situation here. Let me just go back, Control Z, so you can go back also with this. So remember, there is a difference between working with the image inside the layer and with the image in as the Canva or as the composition, the overall composition. So bear that in mind, and we'll talk about this also later. Now let's go for the puppet tool. And first we need a puppet. So I do have an image here that it's kind of something like that. So I'm just gonna go embed. You see it's kind of a statue here, which I could use to be modified with the puppet tool. So what I'm gonna do is go to the edit, and yeah, first of all I need to apply, and then that's going to be unlocked, so I can go to the puppet warp, and what it's going to do is generate this structure that I can use to deform the image. So now I'm going to click and place these little dots, and those will help me again to manipulate the image. So instead of using like a grid, I'm using specific dots that I can place around in my character in this case, but could be anything. So there you go. Once you finish, you just click and drag, and you can see that you're going to affect the overall image in this case, but especially the thing that is inside. And you can also change the expansion to make 1 point more important. Now, before we continue with the puppet, the best thing is to have a PNG, which means an image that doesn't have the background. And I'm looking for here something like Android PNG. So I'm gonna go for the Android logo, or something. You can use whatever you want. It could be a character, could be something else, but usually this works okay. And I found this one here on Wikimedia. So you can click here and download the PNG preview. This is actually an SVG file, which means you can modify it using scalable vector graphics. So you can definitely turn it into something else using like an application like Inkscape or some vector graphics if you want. But we're gonna use the Photoshop application in this case. And you can see it doesn't have the background. So make sure you download the PNG without the background. Make sure you save it in PNG format, and then you're good to go. So just gonna show you also where I got the smartphone. Well, the hand holding a smartphone. I just search for Pexels smartphone hand, and there are like many results here in Pexels. Pexels is a free website. Well, it's a website where you can get free content. Like in this one here, in this case, you can see it's free to use, so you can download it, choose the format. In this case, I've chosen a small format. I don't really need big one. So select it, click on free download, and it's going to be downloaded. And don't forget to donate to the author if you want to support them. And there you have other examples, so you can get whatever you want, whatever you like. I've chosen this one here because it's slightly like rotated and in perspective. It's not like straight vertical or horizontal, so it's gonna be better for what we need to do, which is gonna be kind of a photo montage. So once you download this, you're ready to go. So I'm gonna go to File and Place Embedded again. I'm gonna place the Android logo, which I saved into a folder called Assets. And there it is. So you can see it doesn't have the background, so it's perfect. And also I downloaded this other one, could be good. It also has a green screen. We're gonna work with the green screen and selection and like cutouts, but right now we're just gonna do something really, really simple and fast. We're gonna do something more advanced later. So this is the image right here. This is the Android logo. I'm gonna place it, and there you go. So it's inside my image. I'm just gonna deform it. So I'm gonna say okay first, and then go to the edit, go to the pop-up warp again. And if you want, you can also increase the density here with more points. This is gonna make things a little bit more accurate. And you can also show the mesh or not show the mesh. So it's kind of working in a 3D environment where you have the mesh, which is a structure made of triangles, and you can deform that. So make sure you place your points in the place that you wanna like stabilize. So I'm gonna place some pinpoints here to make this part really stable, and then also probably here in the middle of the head. And then I wanna like play with the horns here and the legs, so the parts that are more detached. So I'm gonna place pinpoints here, pinpoints here. Now this is the arms are not detached from the main body, so it's not gonna be as good as the legs and the little things in the head. So you can see here that I can click that and play around with those, create something really different. And you can see that this point is not going to influence the other points. They're going to like overlap a little bit. So I need to move this point as well. There we go. So with deforming the little character with all our points, they kind of move, but they can also rotate. If you hold the Alt key, you see that we have like scissors. In that case, it's going to remove it. So if I click, it's going to remove that. But if you hold Alt and you move slightly over, you see you can also rotate. And be careful, because when the points are going to be overlapping too much, they're going to create like strange effects. So you don't want to probably deform it too much. But again, just play around here. Let's see the legs. So you see I can modify the entire shape just by playing around with the pinpoints. Okay, you can also click inside, place another pinpoint, And remember, they have like depth, so you can change the importance here, the expansion. And this is also how you can change the rotation, the degree. Okay, let's say that I'm fine with this. I don't want to spend too much time with this, just to show you how it works, and then you can work yourself with that. And there it is. And I can still transform it again, like scaling, simple scaling. Oh, just lost. There you go. Well, I need to, you see here, we have the smart filter, so we need to rasterize this first. So right click, rasterize, and sorry, I just turned off the pop-up warp. So make sure everything is on, and then rasterize. And now we can go back and modify it without losing the warping, kind of a munch flat, munk. Okay, so actually I want to add one last thing here. Just came in my mind, kind of the scream of Munch. So I'm gonna add like a paint, or actually I'm just gonna add an ellipse like this, not black, but definitely white, and without the stroke. So let's just turn off the stroke, and there you go. And of course, I can deform also that shape. I go to Edit, Transform Part, Distort, and I can distort this. So really, really fun. We're just having fun. Okay. Now let's go and do the final montage. I'm gonna save this as lesson 07 in PSD. There we go. And then we're gonna open up the image from Pexels. So I'm gonna go to open directly, and just wanna open directly the image. And there you go. So we have the two. Then we go to window, arrange, and two up vertical. So we have our arbor here with the smartphone. Just gonna make this smaller and that other one a little bit bigger. And I'm gonna click here, move into this other, and let's make the photo montage here. So I'm gonna go to link this one inside here. Just need to go to file, select this one, and also want to save this last lesson 07B. So make sure they don't have the same name, otherwise they're gonna override. So that's lesson 7B. This is lesson 7. I'm gonna now insert the lesson 7 file inside the lesson 7B file. So to do this, I'm gonna go to File, Place, Linked, and I'm gonna select the lesson 7, Place, and now all I need to do is again the format and make it fit to do the photo montage. I don't want to do things too difficult here. Just gonna like do something simple, rotate it, and then I'm going to go to Edit Transform, and the quickest way is to distort, and then I'm gonna place the points in the angles in the corners of the smartphone. Again, this is really quick and not precise at all. We're gonna work more with photo montages later when we discover selection, but this is just to show you that you can link things together, and you can study like a little bit more our website or a tablet or a smartphone could show up with your design, your graphics, or your layout, your prototype. So this will be all for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you in the next. Please subscribe to stay updated, and also join the channel if you want to support us. See you in the next.